It's the Molly Dolly Show.
Hello girls and boys, welcome to episode 9 of the Molly Dolly Show, where we're reading a chapter of my new book, Molly's Big Decision Every Day, and Molly's been listening and joining in, haven't you, Molly? Yes, Carmen. So, Molly, yesterday you told me that today you were going to do a jigsaw with your friend Rich. Did you do your jigsaw? Yes, I did, Carmen. It was great fun, girls and boys. It had 200 pieces and it took Rich and I all day to do it. Would you like to see a photo of it? I would. Oh, it's full of funny pussycats. Look at their cheeky tongues poking out like that. Hope you don't poke your tongue out like that, Molly. No, never, Carmen. Okay, how about we read chapter 9? And girls and boys, this is the last chapter in the book, so listen up well. You up there? I will read chapter 9. And this is called A New Home. The next morning, Molly woke to a chorus of friendly and familiar voices. Wake up, Molly! The king stood alongside Sarah. Molly flew out of bed and into his arms. Mr and Mrs Furrows stood in the doorway with their arms crossed. Mrs Furrows spoke with a frosty voice. I suppose you've made your decision, Molly. All the best. She gave Molly a fake smile. We've signed the adoption papers at the king's request, Mr Furrows added in a deep and formal voice. It's true, Molly, the king agreed. This is a special certificate of adoption. He handed Molly a sheet of paper rolled and tied with thin red ribbon. She opened it and read, Princess Molly, welcome to the king's family. On this day you have been legally adopted. The date was written at the bottom of the certificate next to the 3 adult signatures. The king's special ruby seal had been stamped in the corner. She would treasure this certificate for the rest of her life. Susie sat silently in her bed, clutching her pillow to her chest. Tears welled up in her eyes and slowly trickled down her face. She was going to miss her roommate so much. Molly walked over to Susie and gave her a big hug. I miss you, Susie. You've been like a sister to me. Thank you for being my best friend. I wish you all the best, Molly. I'll miss you too, she said bravely. Molly turned to look up at the king. Do you know it's Susie's 9th birthday in 2 more months? Yes, I do, the king replied with a smile and a laugh. But we don't need to wait for Susie's birthday in order to give her this. The king reached inside his royal robe and handed Susie a large silver envelope. At once Molly recognised the beautiful flowing writing. While Susie was busy opening the envelope, Molly stepped up close to the king. The book? She quietly asked. Yes, it was time, he winked at Molly. Susie stood and approached the king. I accept your invitation to visit the palace next week, she said politely. The king smiled at her. Will that be all right with you, Mr and Mrs Furrows? Susie asked. Well, what could they say with the king watching their every move? Mr Furrows coughed, cleared his throat. Yes, of course you can go, Susie. Shortly after Molly had said her final goodbye, she arrived at the palace. This time Molly walked confidently through the palace doorway with the king. Sarah took her by the hand and led her to the swimming pool outside. Molly was surprised when she saw a large group of people cheering. Welcome home, Molly! Hundreds of brightly coloured balloons drifted towards her from the roof of the palace. Some landed softly in the pool and garden. Excited children ran to greet her and shake her hand. Molly needn't have feared about being lonely after leaving the orphanage. At last she had a loving family to belong to. Molly was pretty sure her friend Susie would decide to join the royal family as well. She was already imagining the crazy adventures they could get up to. Molly was full to the brim with happiness. But there was something she didn't realise. The king was incredibly happy too. As he smiled at all of his children, his eyes rested on Molly. I'm her father now, he said to himself, and she is safe. No one can hurt her. Her home is my palace. The end. And that's Molly's big decision. What a wonderful, wonderful story. Yes, Carmen, it was a wonderful, wonderful story. Thank you so much for writing it all down for me. Hasn't she done a good job, girls and boys? Well, Molly, I enjoyed writing your story down, and I thought all the girls and boys need to hear your story. Carmen, I'm so well looked after in the palace. The king looks after me so well, girls and boys. Well, that's great, Molly. So what are you going to do tomorrow, do you think? Oh, I don't know. I mean, the book's finished now. Well, if you don't have any ideas, I have an idea, and this is something that you can do, Molly, and the girls and boys can do, because guess what I've been busy doing? What, Carmen, what? Well, I've been putting together a special activity art pack for all the girls and boys, and for you, Molly. Oh, wow, what's it got in it? Well, it's got lots of puzzles and fun and colouring in sheets that you can do at home, and they're pictures that are out of your book. Out of your book. Out of Molly's Big Decision book. So there's puzzles, there's find a word, spot the difference. Oh wow, so exciting. How do I get the book? Well, Molly, I'll give you a copy of the book. For the girls and boys at home though, if you want a copy of the free activity book that goes along with Molly's Big Decision, you just need to visit my website and you'll see the link on the bottom of the screen, and you can get mum or dad or grandma or your friend or an auntie to download it for you and print it off, and then you can do all the puzzles. Now make sure, if you don't have a copy of Molly's Big Decision, the beautiful book we have here, and you want a copy of your own, then head to my website as well, and the link's on the bottom. It's been lovely, girls and boys, spending time with you, hasn't it, Molly? Yes, it has, girls and boys. We have loved reading this story to you, and we wish you all the best. Goodbye.